Welcome to Computer Vision online course. In the last two classes, we were discussing about cameras and images, some basics, fundamentals of them, looking at various parameters of cameras and its impact on the images that you acquire. And the another important paradigm that we wanted to keep in mind while dealing with cameras and capturing the images is don't look at image just as a function of x comma y, a 2D function, but also look at it as a product projection of in general, a projection of the 3D objects or 3D world onto a 2D plane, right? And the continuation of that would be the perspective modeling. Essentially, you are looking at, suppose, recollect what we did with Euclidean geometry. For example, you could there think of all the transformations that we have studied, where when you say Euclidean geometry, it's equivalent to, like, for example, some rigid motions. If you bring in, the object would remain same, and the lengths of the objects, the angles between various edges of your object would remain same, parallel lines would remain parallel. But the moment you are taking a 2D projection of 3D world, lot of properties would be different from what you see and observe in Euclidean geometry. That's why we require a detailed study of this perspective projections in order to get an understanding, and also in order to analyze things when you are doing when you are acquiring images, 2D images of the 3D world. You all know the tracks of a train are parallel, and of course they should be parallel. And you all would have observed that when you take an image of it, you would see as if that both the tracks are meeting. It's because you are projecting this 3D world into a 2D plane, and that could eventually could result in the counterintuitive result of parallel lines converging to a point. Okay, we will anyway are going to discuss about this phenomena in more detail as we move on. So the message here is, while tracks are parallel in the 3D world, they could converge to a point when it comes to a projection of that 3D world onto a 2D plane, right? Similarly, another thing, the ties which are there here are the ones which are kept below the rail tracks are perpendicular to the trains. So the first one you would see the lines, the parallelism doesn't hold anymore. And another thing you could also look at here is, while they are in the 3D world perpendicular to the tracks, these ties which are there under your railway tracks, you could notice here they are no more perpendicular, so the angles could also vary in terms of the while originally it is around 90 degree, it is at 90 degrees. This could keep on changing here as you move on, go far away from your camera. Third point, in reality you might be placing these ties below your railway tracks at equidistance, but you could notice here from this image that also could vary when you are taking a perspective projection. So as a somebody working in computer vision, we should be able to get a good intuition of this. We should be able to understand, we should understand the basic mathematics of it to model this perspective projection, how to model that. And you should be acquainted with some basic mathematical tools in that sense. So that's what we would be aiming for in this class, and perhaps in the next class. Again, just a continuation of this introductory discussion about perspective projection. You take a look at a wall in the room you are sitting, and look at the corner of your room. You would see the angles between your surfaces of the floor versus the wall here versus the other wall is in reality the total would be 90 degrees, each is perpendicular to the other. And you would see the summation is 270 degrees, whereas here you look at the 3D projection, 2D projection of the 3D, and you would see here this would contribute to 360 degrees here. So that's another explanation. And one last example before we make some mathematical analysis of things is, consider a case where you have three hills. Okay, hill A, B, C. This is the top view of your how the hills are placed. And now suppose you are observing, your perception is from this point. Okay, you are observing things from this point. So how does they look like then, those hills? This is the top view that we are showing it. Okay, then assume that in this 3D world you are looking somewhere, as we need to draw and see on 2D surfaces. Again, you have to visualize, we need to visualize in our mind how, which we are pretty good at, and what exactly is the 3D world object scenario there. Yes, coming back here, suppose you stand here and see how they are placed. You would see as if the mountain B is in between the mountains A and C. On the contrary, suppose if you vary your perception by looking at some other viewpoint, let's say now you are looking from this point. Okay, you have stood here and looking from this point here. Okay, again, you imagine in the 3D world there. And then what would happen? Then in fact, A would come here, and to the left of A, you have C, and to the left or right of A, you have B. Is it not? So that's why the 3D world, the moment you are taking view from different viewpoints, things appear quite different, right? Although it is very much clear on how they are placed, but from the viewpoint, things could vary a lot, because all you are looking at is a projection of that. So these projections could be misleading, or in a, probably the right way to put it is, we need to make a right sense of these perspective projections. For that, we should be able to model it and have some understanding on what kind of phenomena would happen here. Okay, so with that background, what I would do now is we will slowly move on, switch between some mathematics versus some intuition about these things. And in order to mathematically deal with all these phenomena of perspective projection, in the first place, we should understand how this projection works. We already got the necessary some necessary background for it while dealing with the pinhole camera. So we will stick ourselves to a pinhole camera model, as we were saying in the concluding remarks of the previous class. So pinhole camera model is something makes our life easier. Later someone, if required, could extend it to a more realistic, more complex scenario, but for now we'll be fine with it. Okay, so assume that you have an object here which you want to take a projection of it. Again, for the sake of convenience, I would move to 2D projections, means projections of a 2D object itself, because I can't draw here 3D, but I would show you certain things a little later about 3D also. But this extension, starting from a 2D and then extending it, would be much more easy to understand in terms of the mathematical part. Okay, assume that, so this is my object. Let the object height be, let's say, h here, height of the object. Okay, and my center of projection is here. Let me call that O. O is essentially my center of projection. You could think of that as, in the pinhole camera, the hole there which allows the light to pass on that. Okay, so you could, if you want, you could think of that as where there is a hole here. Okay, that part is where the light would pass through. Now say here, so somewhere here the light is there, that's coming, falling on the object, coming here. So that would, this ray would go on like this, right? And this from Let me again call this probably object as A and B. The light from B would come in this direction along that line because we kept it purposefully in the optical axis. So assume again, I have a screen here, sensor here, image sensor here that captures the object. Now this point A would come here. Okay, let me call that with small a, and this point B here would form a response here. So let me call this as B. So this is how I would be having the image of it. We studied that in cameras and images part itself, right? Now let's also put some variable names. Assume that my object is at a distance D from the center of projection, and let me call the distance from the center of projection to the screen as F. Now, what I want you to quickly do is, if I give you F, D, H, can you tell me, given these three things, can you tell me what is the value of, okay, I should, let me also give some name here, the output height here, let me call it as H naught here, that a small b length. So what is the value of H naught? Can you tell me that? So it's very simple. This is triangle capital O, capital A, capital B, and triangle capital O. Since I have taken capital A there, let me take small a here, small b. These are similar triangles. Okay, these are similar triangles. So you just put the ratio of lengths should be same, right? Because this angle and this angle are same, correct? And these are that you could clearly see that now. And this is 90 degrees here, and this is 90 degrees here. So other angle has to be same. So they are similar triangles. Now you keep the base lengths there, for example. So I could write there, let me start with heights there because I need to find out H naught. So let me put H naught by, for example, this F horizontal length, and there I have to keep in that then H by this horizontal length is D. That's giving me H naught equal to H times F by D. Suppose if the distance of the object from the center of projection is increasing. So if D is increasing, okay, you understand it both in terms of parameters and also practically. So the distance of the object from center of projection is moving away in this direction. So what would happen then? The size of the or object. What would happen to your size of the object?
Decreases.
Yes. So H naught would decrease. Okay. So that you just draw it yourself the same object, okay, putting somewhere else and keep the screen at the same position. You could also geometrically see that. So center of projection, if you are looking at the images of far away objects, their lengths will be smaller. That's another way of rephrasing the same thing. Now, another thing let me say is, if your F is increasing, that means the distance from your center of projection to this image screen is increasing, then what would happen to H naught? H naught will
Increase.
increase, right? So because as you are moving here, and then that's where you would be taking projection of it as you move away here, of course, the size of your image would keep on increasing. Anyway, you similar now vice versa for D decreasing and F decreasing. Okay, now while this is a very simple thing you could easily understand, this is not the way you treat with the projections mathematically. There is a nice tweak that people would do here in order to deal with all these image projections. See here, the object is in fact is reduced in size. Not only that, another thing also happened when you are taking the image on the sensor. What is the other thing other than change of size? Inverted. Now, to deal with this mathematically, what people do, so what I would write here as mathematical model. So this is nice to understand the phenomena, but the mathematical model, the way people would do is, again, let me draw that here, or maybe I would profit from this diagram itself. So I have F here. Again, same distance of F, let me take here from the center of projection to the other side of it. Okay, this is where now I am taking. Now let's say, let me call this as, okay, what would be the length of this one? Okay, let me call this length as h naught prime. Can you tell me what is h naught prime? H naught prime is equal to h times f by d. That's very nice thing. Again, this was not at all difficult to arrive at this expression. Now you just look at another triangle. One triangle is, maybe let me call this as b dash. Okay, this as a dash. Okay, then what would happen? This o. So how did you arrive at that expression? Basically, this o a dash b dash, triangle triangle O A dash B dash, and triangle OAB, O capital AB. These are similar triangles, isn't it? So now again you put the ratio there. Suppose you want to write h naught dash first. So I could, let me erase this line. So I could write there, for example, first let me write the length h naught dash by h is equal to, now let me write this, base f by d. That's all. F by d, that implies h naught dash is equal to h times f by d, as simple as that. So what about the invertedness now? Will the object be inverted? Okay, this is a very strange thing we are considering, which is experimentally is not possible, because this could be only after passing through this you would capture the image. This is mathematically, this is very nice. You have exactly the same content that is there on this screen. And good, additionally, the good news you are getting here is that your image is also not inverted. So that's the mathematical model you would be using. So let me draw that quickly, only that part now. Suppose you have an object here of height h. This is your center of projection O. Okay. And at a distance f, you consider that you have, as if you have the screen there. So obviously if there is a screen there, it will not pass through that. But mathematically you could see that implies here h naught dash is equal to h naught. Okay. And again, make a note here that I am considering both from this f. Okay. Forward f, the from O, if you consider as origin, one is negative and another is positive. So that's why h naught, if I have to strictly write it, I should write it as h naught dash equal to minus h naught, but that's okay. I'm just looking at the magnitudes there. Okay. H naught, let me call this now. Let me drop that h naught dash, because that's anyway is getting equal to h naught. I'm dropping that. And this O is nothing but your center of projection. So this is indeed the mathematical model of the pinhole camera. This is how you mathematically use the model. Now you tell me what is the distance of the camera, and everything is encoded properly here in this model. Now just let me draw for the 3D case. This is just a 2D case I have considered. Again, since we need to draw 3D in 2D, okay, this is always we know how to interpret in the drawing, right? So for the sake of convenience here, let me call, while I'm doing the 3D case, z-axis here. Then the right hand coordinates, if I consider, this would be my x. Let this be my x. Let this, okay, assume that I draw it vertically enough. Okay, so that's my y there. This is my y, so that I have the right hand coordinate system. Now, suppose I have a point here, X, let me call that point as X, Y, Z, because so far it is just X comma Y I was drawing, but perspective projection is not just for that, but this is for 3D object to a 2D plane. So what essentially now we are going to extrapolate this or extend this to a 3D real world case. Now you did not just have a line here, but rather your sensor is a plane that you are having it. So assume that that plane is somewhere similar in similar lines. Ideally it is there at this point, but we would be drawing it here for the same reasons that we first conveniently discussed in a 2D case. Okay, now this is our center of projection for this XYZ, for example. That's how it is going, and this would smash and onto the 2D plane somewhere here, and let me call that point now as X dash comma Y dash. Okay, original point we are just looking at a 3D point of XYZ, and its projection on a 2D plane is essentially the perspective projection, which I am calling now as X dash comma Y dash. Okay, so it's so XYZ means here, okay, that plane I should ideally be drawing. So but anyway, I'm sure you all could are now dealt with that enough number of times. So let's call this as my Z. Okay, my plane, just like I had here, this sensor is at distance f. Okay, and similarly now that's making a point intersecting, this plane is intersecting with this z axis, okay, at a location of f here. Okay, so this is my f here. Okay, now I won't do a rigorous derivation of what is x dash as a function of course, x, y, z, f, the distance at which you have, ideally that plane is actually somewhere here, right? So but that you would do mathematically the same thing that we have done here, we would be doing it. Any guesswork on what is the value of x dash in terms of x? Can you make any guess based on what you have seen here?
F by Z.
F by z. Excellent, very good. And y dash equal to y times y
F by Z.
times, that's all. And what about z dash, if I ask you? But anyway, we are just looking at this image, so z dash doesn't really matter. All of them are there at z equal to f, correct? So that doesn't really matter. So this is what you are going to get as a result of perspective projection. Your new x dash and y dash will be x times f by z, y times f by z. Just like here, your h dash is h times f by d. The distance d is now z, the distance f is same, and that's how you would be getting those values. So if you want, I'm not going to do the derivation part of it, but I will just show you how this can be achieved, and I leave that part to you. This is how you could draw it again, the diagram, center of projection, this projection plane, perspective projection plane here. You have the line joining here. Now again, if you want, you have to take the similar triangles here, and on the similar triangles, you do some math here, which would eventually land you up onto the same result that we have seen here. Okay, that part I leave it to you to go into the intricacies. The very reason why I started with this 2D diagram is this will give you enough intuition on what would happen to your x dash y dash in case of a point xyz getting projected onto a 2D plane, which is placed at a distance of, in fact, f here. Your projection plane is f here, right? And what would happen to that point? Where would that point will be projected? That's why I have shown you there. Okay, so before I move forward, let me also just show you one more diagram here. that tells you about the same thing what we discussed and what I have kept here in terms of these 2 points. What happens if D increases? What would happen to the image height and the object? What happens if F increases? So H equal D, the resulting height would be H times F by D. The same thing you could observe in this diagram, where this O is your center of projection. This is your image plane where you are getting the projection. Okay, if you want to geometrically draw the setup, this would be on one side of your center of projection. On another side, you have objects. So again, we are quite used to it thanks to your engineering drawing as well. Hopefully, you would see some good convenience that you gain because of that course. Say here, yeah, an object is there. Assume that the distance from the center of projection to your image plane is D, and assume that your object is also at a distance of D. So basically, then what would you get? This object, right? You would, where do you get there that object? So that object as a result is something that has been shown in the middle here, where you would get the object of same height because the ratio is same, but now that getting inverted. Now you consider from here an object which is at a distance of 2D here. Okay, as this distance increases, what would happen now? Your F is increasing in another way. So if your F increases, say essentially, is it the F that is increasing? No, F is D only. The distance to the object, this D is increasing. So your H naught would come down. It's increased by double, so that gets halved. So now if you consider this is same length as this object, which is there at C, suppose if it is of the same length, that would look here on the plane as if it is half of the size. And now at the same distance of 2D, if you have an object which is double the size of A and C, because it is at a double distance compared to the reflection of this object which is there at C, it would look at as if it is of the same size here. Okay, so that's just one example of illustration, and this proof I leave it to you if you want to work it out. Okay, that's as far as we will further continue our mathematical representation of this perspective projection, which is very essential building block for all your rest of your computer means. Maybe we will not be using it quite a lot in your computer vision course, as we will now slowly look into some applications also, but later point of time, whenever you want to deal with any projections, this knowledge is in fact very much essential. So first let's start with a matrix representation of this perspective projection. Okay, matrix representation is what we would do now. So how could you do that? X dash, Y dash, let me put that as a matrix. Okay, now I want to, so originally I have, so essentially from XYZ, you are getting X dash, Y dash. Okay, your original point is XYZ. From that, I want to get X dash, Y dash. So it's like we want to compute a matrix by multiplying with which you would get X dash, Y dash. So now tell me what is the matrix now? Here, what should be, by the way, this is 2 cross 1. This is 2 cross 1. Okay. So now tell me what's the, so this is anyway, sorry, 3 cross 1, correct? So, so I should get 2 cross 3. So what is that matrix now? So what is that here I get? F by Z, 0,
0,
0, 0.
0, F by Z 0.
Correct. What's the problem? The parameter Z or the variable is within this matrix itself, which is not constant. So the transformation doesn't hold good. Where did we get this problem? Similar problem earlier. We had exactly got the same problem while we are dealing with image transforms. We were trying to do a simple translation, right? And then of course combine it with rotation and other stuff. There also we ended up with a similar problem. So what was the solution for dealing with this that we did then? We moved from this coordinate to something else that is referred to as another instance or scenario where uniform coordinates will be very handy and in very essential ingredient for dealing with and modeling this perspective projection. So what we would do now is this x dash y dash, we would be representing it as u v w instead of 2 by 1 matrix u v w as a 3 cross 1 matrix. And given this 3 cross 1 matrix, you would get x dash, you would move from 3 cross 1 to x dash y dash by computing x dash equal to,
U by W.
that's all. You all know it from your earlier discussions. Y dash equal to v by w. That's all. So now what we are going to do now is figure out. So this x dash y dash, hope you are working along with me, is in fact equivalent to x times f by z and y times f by z. Okay, this I would like to write it as UVW. Okay, where I could separate x, y, and z. So how can I write that? Now from a 2 cross 1, I am moving to a 3 cross 1. So what could be the elements here? Notice here, by doing this operation, I should be getting back my x dash y dash given this 3 cross 1 vector. So now I am telling you the first element, I would prefer writing it as x, although I could have written it slightly differently as well. I would prefer writing it as x. Okay. Now by doing this operation on this 3 cross 1, I should be getting x dash y dash. Now you tell me what's the second and third elements.
Y and Z by F.
That's all. Very good. And now you could notice here, in order to get x dash, the first element divided by the third element would give me x times x divided by z by f. So that is x times f by z. Similarly, y dash is y times f by z. Is that clear? So now I will not anymore deal with x dash y dash. I would rather, now this is my new u v w. I would rather prefer dealing with this one now. Okay. So u v w is equal to, in terms of x, y, z. I want to write it. You tell me how I write this. See, instead of applying a transformation and arriving at x dash y dash, I would now rather would like to apply a transformation and arrive at UVW. And once I know UVW, through this transformation, I would come back to what it means by x dash y dash, because I know the relation. Once I know UVW, I know this is how I would get back my x dash y dash. Now all I'm asking is, tell me what is this matrix multiplication I should keep here to get UVW there.
1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1 by F.
Very good. 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0. What is the
1 by
last?
F.
That's right. Very good. Just this is the all you have it. For example, it says that u equal to x. So we have written this first row multiplied with the xyz would give me u. So I just keep 1 here. And second row multiplied with y would give me v, which is equal to y. So I just kept there 1. And then I need 1 by f times z. So 0 0 1 by f in the third row would give me the UVW values. So if I call this matrix of perspective projection, that's equivalent to now 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1 by f. Very convenient one. So suppose now I can give you any point xyz, and then if I tell you where my image plane is, which tells me what is the value of f, you could always tell me where this point is going to be there on my perspective projection. Perspective projection is nothing but knowing this x dash y dash itself will tell me the perspective projection. Is that clear so far? This is a very, very, very important result, mathematical formulation, for perspective projection. Again, it's very nice that we discussed this earlier in the about this uniform coordinates at the time of transformations, because we have very similar issues there. If you recollect, we expanded the matrix by one more column there, in order such a way that we could in fact put the translations, rotations, affine transforms, everything we could represent it within a single matrix. In fact, it's not, this is one type of projection is perspective projection. There are other type of projections, for example orthographic projection and so on, which also we want to represent using a single matrix. In order to achieve that, another thing that has been done is this XYZ, you would in fact move from here to XYZ1 for exactly the similar reasons that we did in case of our image transforms, second lecture of our image transforms. So this is very simple thing. All I want now is my UVW. This is what I want. Some matrix here where I want here X, Y, Z, 1. Okay. Now, if you recollect, for example, if it has moved by value T naught in the X direction, there is no way you could have earlier in the transforms, you could represent with X, Y, Z. So that's why we introduced 1 there for very similar reasons, which will be clear to you in the next class. I'm just introducing 1 here. Okay. Now just look at it as some mathematical manipulation here and tell me what is my matrix here for the same thing. Now how I could represent here. Instead of XYZ, I am using XYZ1. Now you tell me the matrix here.
1 0 0 0.
That's all. You are just appending 1 0 0 1 more 0, because U is, as I am saying, your U is simply U is X only. Okay. In order to get U, first row should be multiplied with XYZ1. So 1 has nothing to do. So that's 1 0 3 zeros. And what about the second row?
0
0
1 0.
0. And what about here?
0 1 by f.
Right. And here, see, it's
Zero.
very simple. We are just simply appending here one column of zeros, which would eventually get multiplied with 1 and nullify the effect of 1. That's all. Okay. We are not doing any bigger scam here. Okay. So your perspective projection matrix now 3 by 4 would be simply the same thing, but here we are appending a column of zeros there. That's all. So m equal to 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1 by f 0 0 0. So if I, unless otherwise I specify the size to be 3 by 3, okay, which was the case here, from now onwards when I say the matrix for perspective projection, you take it for granted that unless otherwise specified, I am talking about this 3 by 4 matrix here.
Just to verify, the output here, the UVW
Mm.
vector.
Mm.
So in essence, we are changing the 3D coordinate system into 2D coordinate system plus
Yes.
some scale factor.
You look at here. See, at the end, perspective projection means you should have only X dash and Y dash. It is your end result is not in UVW. Your end result is in X dash Y dash, which you could calculate given UVW by simply dividing the U and V values with W. That is your end result. X dash Y dash is the projection of the point XYZ. But the irony there, why we could not right away use X dash Y dash is for this reason, that if you write it as a matrix here, you see here, you have Z in this matrix itself, which varies with every XYZ location. So you could not use it there. That's why we come into this uniform coordinate system where we represent X dash Y dash with UVW. And once you get UVW, you get X dash Y dash by simply dividing U and V with W. That's a very, very important point.
Yes, sir. So in essence, we can assume that the W here
Hmm.
is a sort of a scale factor, right?
Correct. On U and V.
Yes, sir.
That's right. And after applying that scale factor, and so I'll just slightly rephrase your statement. U and V are nothing but X dash, Y dash with some scaling factor. Everyone make sure that you got this intricacy here. U, V, W getting this is not the final objective. You are, because you have a 3D point. At the end of the day, you are getting a 2D projection of this. So that 2D projection of your X, Y, Z is X dash, Y dash. Since we cannot right away find out a transform between X, Y, Z and X dash, Y dash, this mathematical framework is pretty much essential, where you first find out U, V, W, and you simply later scale U and V with factor W, and that would give you X and Y. In the next coming class, we would wrap up our discussion on the perspective projection, where we would be discussing some phenomena that's happening. So maybe one only pointer that I would give you and now leave you with, I will leave you with that pointer, is the perspective projection of parallel lines would converge. The parallel lines would be intersecting here, and we could see this phenomena mathematically also. And very interesting things we are going to derive in the next class. For example, if I have multiple parallel lines in perspective projection, it is guaranteed that all the lines which are in 3D parallel would converge or would intersect at the same point. Okay, and that's a very interesting thing that we were going to see in the next class. Another interesting thing, if there are set of parallel lines, okay, not just one, maybe 4 5 sets of parallel lines are there, the locus of all intersection points, if you draw, that would be a line. That's another very interesting thing that happens in the perspective projection. Okay, so these are two interesting phenomena that happens in case of a perspective projection. Okay, this you could use it in different ways also to detect if there are any photoshopped versions, edited versions, or whether it's a real image also, by taking projections of those parallel lines and other stuff. Okay, anyway, we will see those things in more detail in the next class. Okay, thanks, and bye for now, and see you in the next class. Bye, take care.